Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Santa Paula City Council, July 15, 2026. Here at City Council Chambers, we do have Spanish translation available. Si alguien necesita el equipo para oír en español, ármese a Julie. And also, if you have cell phones, if you would either turn them off or lower them and put them on airplane mode. If you're able to stand, please join us for the invocation by Chaplain K. Wilson Bolton.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this privilege. So join me or listen in. Creator God, I bless your name, and I thank you for so many things. A unique thank you for the soccer games that has brought so much joy to so many of all ages in all the world. Thank you for the safety of all who traveled to the U.S. so we could see glimpses of life in other parts of the world and the beauty of diversity. I thank you, too, for hard things, because then we can learn lessons that can make us stronger and wiser. I thank you for our city council members, for our staff who do the daily work of planning and preparation, and for all the city workers who contribute so much to our city. My prayer tonight is especially for wisdom for our city council as they make decisions that affect our days here and for the plans that need to be made for the future. We've come to see there are few safe places in the world, and God, I ask that you make Santa Paula a safe place. I pray for the well-being of all first responders because they see way too much with their eyes in our streets and our hospitals and our care facilities. And God, as school begins soon, I pray for teachers who have great opportunities to change lives, facing equal amounts of challenges in and out of the classroom. Help us to love mercy, do justice, and walk humbly so that you will be seen first. Bless those who labor in hard and hot places. Grant comfort and all kinds of grace. Give us greater appreciation for what they do. Help us to be kinder and look for ways to show the kind of love you show to us. I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kay Wilson. Vice Mayor, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call, please?
Councilmember Chavez.
Here.
Councilmember Cornejo.
Here.
Councilmember Ornelas.
Here.
Vice Mayor Crosswhite.
Here.
Mayor Juarez.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Our attorney, Monica Casilla, would you have a closed session report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. And I will be reporting on 3 closed sessions this evening. 2 of them occurred before tonight on different days. Those 2 closed sessions were held on June 23rd under closed session item 5A, Public Employee Performance Evaluation for the city manager. A second closed session was held on June 30th, 2026, under the same closed session item, Public Performance Evaluation of the city manager. I will report that there was no action taken during the meeting on the city manager's employment, and because of that reason, his city manager's agreement will sunset on June 30th, 2027. Because council did not take any action, no motion was required. So I will announce that our city manager's term will end in a year. For this evening's closed session, we met on numerous topics, and those numbered 14. So rather than name each of them, I'm going to refer to them as, let's see, on our special agenda, I'll refer to them as items 4A through 4M on our special meeting agenda that we had sent out for this meeting. During that closed session, there were no reportable actions taken, and that will conclude my report.
All right, thank you very much. For those of you that have joined us, if you picked up a agenda pack, not a packet, but agenda, you'll notice that there's extra pages with several things. I'm not going to take the time to read it, but some of the highlights are, it talks about regular council meetings, how to view from your television, computer, or mobile device, how to participate in person during the meeting, how to attend and provide remote public comment. Let me see here. How to participate before the meeting, translated agendas, interpretation assistance requests, disclosure of campaign contributions, and a meeting environment. And one thing that wasn't on here that I think I asked our attorney if she could just touch on it briefly is interrupted council meetings. That's something that's required now. You could just touch a little bit on that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As of July 1st, the state legislation SB 707 requires that there is the city provides remote public participation during council meetings. When there is an interruption in that connection through Zoom or other technology, the city council is required to pause the meeting for 1 hour and take a recess. And if after 1 hour, after good faith efforts were made to restore that connection, then the council can reconvene and take a vote whether to proceed or adjourn the meeting. So that is the requirement going forward.
Thank you very much. And Julie Lashaw, our city clerk, if I could have you talk a little bit about public comment and if there's going to be any remote access this evening and how that would work.
Yes, and also with the same Assembly Bill 707, we are required to provide remote public comments, so we do have that on our agendas now for anyone that would like to be able to do that. It's set up as a webinar. The information is on all of the agendas to be able to log in. That same information is also on our website under the agenda area to be able to give instructions on how to be able to do that. This will give people that are unable to come the capability of being able to speak from afar on different items. As we move forward through this, and of course tonight's our first night, we'll be doing a step-by-step. It kind of is back in the olden days when we had to use webinars for our COVID. So we will start going ahead and having them raise their hand. When the item comes, we'll call for that, ask for raise of hands, and one by one we would bring them in for their 3-minute speaking. If they still need translation, we will bring the translator out as well, and they can go back and forth to do some translating. That might take a little bit of time to get a little more organized on that, but I'm sure with time we will have that down pat because we know our people here do want to be able to have access to translation as well. So anyway, that is starting. Tonight is the first meeting for that. And if anyone has more questions, they can always reach out to me or also check on our website for more instructions.
All right, thank you very much, Julie Lashaw. We do have 3 public speaker cards. Do we have anybody in the webinar waiting room?
No, currently we have no one on any items, but as each item comes up, if you could check back with me in case anyone logs in.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have 3 public speakers. This is general public comment. First will be Bob Orlando, followed by David Romney. You have 3 minutes, Mr. Orlando.
Greetings, Mayor, Council, Department Heads, and including Mr. Singer. My name is Bob Orlando, 524 Glade Drive. My wife Becky and I have called Santa Paula our home for over 29 years, and we retired a few years back. People asked us where we're going to retire. We looked puzzled at them, and we proudly said, here, where else would be better? Our city has continued to progress and be better. Not solely, but I attribute much of this to 2 individuals who gave us their all. One was John Marquez, the former executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. that as he established the chairman's circle that helps keep the chamber financially supported, kept cruise night our signature event, and has us dancing in the streets. He got us recognition and respect from our county. The other is City Manager Dan Singer. For 6 years, he guided us through many issues and successful projects, got 2 difficult and necessary tax measures passed, and the funds from those generated from those measures actually were doing what they were supposed to. Peggy Kelly's article of July 8th in the mighty Santa Paula Times stated the council decided not to extend Dan's contract. Included in this article is his extensive accomplishments during his tenure. But also noted was the Travis Walker hiring. I'm confident Dan's honestly believed the hiring was in the best interest of our city. Well, that hire was not what was expected, and Dan admitted his mistakes, and we moved on. People see what they want to see. I know at least one of you during your 2022 run for council did not support Dan as city manager and wanted him replaced. The undertone was at that time the Walker hiring. Carrying that conventional bias and others may have prevented you from recognizing Dan's accomplishments. Psychology notes that those who focus on one's mistakes, not accomplishments, are ill-informed, ill-advised, and in some cases prejudiced. I hear the council wants to go a different direction. Have you discussed that direction with Dan? What is that direction? We are progressing and moving forward here. Why do you want to change our effective and positive course? Of course, Dan, he will graciously make this proposed transition happen. What else would you expect from a man of good character, person of good character, commitment, and responsibility? I don't propose a grassroots movement, but an oak tree roots movement to encourage the present and future councils to extend Dan's contract for 3 years, assuming he wants to do that, because this action is in concert with where the city is going and beneficial to all concerned. I realize there are other issues, but do they warrant your decision? Please don't focus on your agendas and prejudice, and don't make this your mistake. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando. Now we have David Romney, who will be followed by Chris Bartleson.
Well, good to see you here. I came here because I read the paper today, and I was encouraged that the council intended to be transparent about its vote on everything. And although I'm not a resident of the city of Santa Paula, I was born here. I spent all my formative schooling here through high school. And I spend most of my waking hours here at my law practice every day during the work week. And I still view this as my home, so I care. And I am here because I want to point out the obvious, that the release that the city council gave about the decision not to renew the contract of the city manager has major unanswered questions that the city should address for the benefit of the city manager and for the electorate. Everybody should know. And the first thing that comes to mind is the recent history has shown that selecting a new city manager is a very difficult thing. It was probably, 10 years ago or so, Bob Gonzalez. Everybody knows Bob Gonzalez. He died, as you know, but a wonderful man. He went to Nogales, brought home Jaime Fonseca, and Jaime was an empty suit, as it turned out. He had all the credentials, everything else. He was for about 7 years. He fired everybody. He fired Cliff Finley, and he ended up failing up. He ended up going to Camarillo and then to Thousand Oaks and retired there, quite well off and quite happy. Meanwhile, we were left in the lurch and had to remake the team that had been put together. Putting together a team is very difficult, and you listed some of the city manager's achievements, and they're quite remarkable. If you look at what you did with Harvard, what you did with Main Street, what's happened with the Harvest, what's happening over near Halleck Road, what's going to go up down there to, I forget what that shopping center name is called, but you're going to be building on that soon. And all of that has gone swimmingly. It's been amazing that it has been accomplished by such a small city with a small staff. And the other thing that I've noticed is since Dan has come here, we actually have a team. We have people who give a damn. And I mean that in a very real sense. They get up, they care. When you ask questions, they get answers for you, and if they don't know it, they'll come back and tell you. And it's clear they have a real respect for Dan Singer, your city manager. Now, if you're going to change and say, okay, there's some urgency here and I'm going to go in a different direction, city councils do that all the time, and that's part of life. I actually used to be a city attorney. I was a deputy city attorney in Ventura and a city attorney of Woodland for about 10 years, which is the county seat of Yolo County. And I was also the president of the Government Attorneys Association up in Sacramento for 3 years.
Mr. Romney, your 3 minutes are up. Could you wind it up real quick?
Well, I can't wind it up, and I can't say what needs to be said in 3 minutes, and so that's that. But I would ask the council, well, there is one thing I can wrap up. The city council has no business making a decision now, because it's not even the city council's decision. And your city attorney will you advise of you that, because your successor council is going to be elected in November 5th. And at that point in time, that council can do what it wants to do. You can't bind them. And if you want to convince the new future city council that you're right, you certainly ought to take the time as a whole city council to give some shape to what it is you're telling the city manager at this point in time that he's not doing, that he should do. Because hope and change can be fool's gold. And if you don't spend time and you don't understand what it is you want and make it clear, the likelihood is you're not going to get it. So please tell the city what it is you want and tell the city manager what you want. It's time, it's past time. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Romney. We have Chris Bartleson next, and if there's anybody else, please turn in a speaker card.
Okay, I'm pleased to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. I've been a resident of Santa Paula since 1969, and I like to say, when I got out of the Navy, this is the place I came, and I like to say that this is the only place I've ever chosen to live. And it's made me proud all these years, and I've raised my children here and so on, and it's been good. And I've obviously, from the date of Paul Watts, back in those days till today, I've seen a lot of city managers come and go, as well as city councilmen come and go. And I'm not going to reiterate everything that's been said. I feel the same way that they do, but I'm just going to say I'm really disappointed that the council has elected not to make a decision on continuing Dan's employment and renewing his contract. And I just, I've talked to a lot of people, most people are in shock, and I can understand how you have decisions about which way you want to go here or there. But as Dave said, it's important, first of all, to express the direction you want to go to the person who's supposed to execute that. And then, if he doesn't, then you can certainly have grounds. But I feel, really disappointed. There's no, by not doing it, you don't have to say that it was 3 against 4 or whatever it was in making a decision. You just basically turn your backs, and I feel like that is not right, and I feel like, the public, your constituents, we put you here. We should have the right to know what's really going on. And so I really hope that you'll take it into consideration and consider renewing his contract. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bartleson. Madam Clerk, is there anybody in the webinar waiting room?
No, Mayor, we have no other public
Very good.
comments.
We'll now go on to item number 7, presentations. We're honored to have a Ventura County Fair Post presentation by Junior Fair Board, our council member Leslie Cornejo.
Thank you, Mayor. I was not intended to be the person doing a bit of this presentation. I actually do have a role of being a director appointed by the governor on the Fair Board. But there is also another Santa Paulan, someone who's well-known in Santa Paula, Betsy Chess, and she was going to be here to do the presentation this evening. At the last minute, she was not able to, but we always have our Junior Fair Board, who are just a wonderful group of young people that do great things at the fair. They are a powerhouse of fun and responsibility, and they are here to pardon?
Good.
They're here to present the poster and tell us all about this year's fair.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having us here today. My name is Rocky Manzano, and I am a 12th grader from Santa Paula.
Yeah, my name is Cole Whitehead, and I'm also a 12th grader from here in Santa Paula.
We are both members of the Ventura County Junior Fair Board. The JFB is an organization for high school students throughout Ventura County focused on youth leadership development and community engagement. During the fair, we put on classic games like the watermelon eating contest and karaoke. We are here on behalf of the Ventura County Fair to present the official 2026 fair poster. Over 300 young artists submitted their artwork for consideration at this year's youth poster contest. We have seen a remarkable increase in submissions over the last few years, and we can attribute that to the elimination of any fee to enter the competition. The incredible artwork created by Ventura County youth never ceases to amaze us. Submissions were judged by a panel of community partners and team fair members, and the winners were announced as: in third place, Simon Shapiro, a 6th grader from Simi Valley. In second place, Mika Sanchez, a 10th grader from Ventura. And this year's winning poster was drawn by Annalise Cohen, a 9th grader from Camarillo.
Can you show it to the audience?
Oh, yeah. We are excited to share that the grandstand concert lineup for this year's fair is July 29th, Bush, July 30th, Marshmallow, July 31st, Iration, August 1st, Jake Owen, August 2nd, Herencia de Patrones, featuring Banda Maguey and Banda Toro, August 3rd, Ashanti and Bow Wow, August 4th, Switchfoot and Hoop Stank, August 5th, Nate Smith, and there's also 3 days of rodeo, August 7th through August 9th. We will have special admission days on Wednesday, July 29th, which is $5 before 5 p.m., Friday, July 30th, Youth Day, Tuesday, August 4th, Seniors and Persons with Disabilities Day, Wednesday, August 5th, VCCU Member Day, Thursday, August 6th, Community Heroes Day, Friday, August 7th, Food Share Day. We would also love to see you at the Junior Livestock Auction on Friday, August 7th, where both of us will be auctioning off our market steers along with a bunch of other Ventura County youth exhibitors, which will have a number of other species. And we hope to see you all at the fair this year, and that's all we have. And this poster is actually for you guys, so would you like us to leave it anywhere specific?
Actually, I think we got a spot right there where it's going to replace last year's.
But we would like to also take a picture with you, with the mayor,
Yeah.
as part of the evenings, or maybe even with the whole council,
Yeah,
up to
entire
your.
council.
I would also mention, something new this year is that the fairgrounds, for security reasons, is going to have, require plastic bags as you come into the fairgrounds. And that should speed up security getting through, but it is a new thing. So people should come prepared, bringing their things in a plastic bag. There are sizes and advisories on the website, and you can find out about that. If someone forgets, we do have some people that are sponsoring and will be providing some at the gate, but we want everyone else to come prepared because we won't have enough for everybody, so.
We're going to come down there and take a photo with you, and thank you very much for your presentation.
And Mayor, if I could mention that they have left flyers in reference to the fair, and I'm going to place them on the table back here for any public that would like to obtain one.
Very good, thank you.
Turn it around so you can hold it in the picture. They're going to face this way. We need someone to take a picture, though. Yeah, I know. Usually Julie will do that for us. We always end up down on that end.
This evil juts out over here. Oops, here. Oh. You go.
All right.
Good luck in the auction. Good luck in the auction. Thank you, you guys. Appreciate it. It's here, I don't forget. It's either a sponsor or the, should be, especially, oh, there isn't one, except the last Thursday. Sorry.
The 6th, right? Community Heroes Day.
Next one, we'll move on to item 7B, Parks and Recreation Month Proclamation. And with us this evening, we have Vanessa Olmos, Parks and Recreation Commission Chair. So, would you like me to read this first, or would you like to make some comments first, Vanessa?
Go ahead and read it.
All right, let me read this in. Proclamation, designation of July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Santa Paula, and whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region, and whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens, and whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction, and whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors, and whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the City of Santa Paula recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now therefore I, Carlos Juarez, Mayor of the City of Santa Paula, and on behalf of the City Council, recognize the importance of access to local parks, trails, open space, and facilities for the health, wellness, development, inspiration, and safety of all Californians, and do hereby proclaim the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Santa Paula, dated this 15th of July, 2026. We'll come down in a moment, take photos with you.
Do you want to do that first, or do you want me to?
Let's have you speak.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Juarez, for acknowledging July as Parks and Recreation Month. We're all very lucky to have a director and staff who love what they do and work year-round so that Santa Paula has the best parks, facilities, and activities that we can offer. I'd like to recognize Ulysses Valenzuela and his parks team for keeping the parks in great shape. I don't know that people realize how much work goes into maintaining all of those parks. A sprinkler head goes out or a light needs replacing, and those are the guys that are there before the sun rises or after the sun sets to make sure that they're replaced. Their efforts don't go unnoticed. I also want to recognize the recreation staff. They're constantly coming up with new events or ideas that keep the community engaged, and once one event ends or a season ends, it's time to start planning the next. I know we just had the 4th of July event a couple of weeks ago, and that was a huge success. That was no small task, so thank you to Greg, Catherine, and the entire department for their great work. I'd also just like to remind everyone about a few of the upcoming events the department has. Monday nights for the summer, there's volleyball drop-ins at Teague Park from 5 to 6:30. It's open for 12 to 17-year-olds, and from 6:30 to 8, it's open for adults. Adult softball will be starting in August. Contact the Recreation Department for more information on registration. There's going to be a women's self-defense class on July 31st at the Community Center in the Cultural Arts Building. Movies in the park, there's one more movie in August on the 14th. I believe that's going to be Zootopia 2 at Teague Park. And then this Friday, we have a concert in the park at the Santa Paula Creek Sports Park from 6 to 9. So thank you, everyone.
You're very welcome. All right, let's go take a picture with Ms. Vanessa.
Yes, tall guys in back.
I'm always.
Did you guess? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You're fine.
Right there, perfect. Okay, everyone ready?
She's trying to take the seat already.
Yeah, trying to bump me, man.
It's on camera.
I should have sat there just.
Put that in the blooper file.
Nobody caught that. It was just on TV. So. All right. Mr. Barnes, we go on now to item 7C, which is our Parks and Recreation Department Activity Report by Director Greg Barnes. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Before we start, I'll note that we had a few of our maintenance team that wanted to be here to join us this night as well, but they're actually coaching T-ball as we speak and needed to be out at the T-ball field. So our maintenance team not only cares for our parks, but they actually jump in and volunteer and coach and get involved as well. So thank you. All right, Mayor, Council, thank you. Thank you for that nice proclamation. We will hang it up proudly in the community center. This evening, I'm going to report on activities February through June for 2026. In your packet, you have a detailed written report as well, so this PowerPoint will kind of highlight some of those items. I'll start off with our classes and under Recreation Community Services continue to have good numbers with gymnastics and taekwondo and archery. We're looking soon to also offer a dance class, and we're looking for an adult, should be offering soon an adult like Tai Chi class in the park, so coming soon. In addition, we also, under our youth sports, during this time offered our 5v5 micro soccer program and our track and field. As you know, that's a continued partnership with the school district and continuing to see large numbers, 355 young people participating in our micro soccer. So we have, if you go out there on a Saturday, there's multiple fields running at the same time out at the sports park. There's a couple photos of them participating on the right. And then our drop-in volleyball, 78 different individuals or youth participants during that time participating in the drop-in volleyball. Adult recreation programs, we continue to see high numbers in our pickleball. I think I've mentioned before, we started indoor pickleball as kind of a solution because we didn't have pickleball courts in the city yet, and it just continues to grow. So you can see 327 participants. Drop-in volleyball as well over at Teague Park, adult kickball, and our adult archery program. But I want to point out our adult dodgeball program, which is new. Everyone seemed to have a wonderful time. It was the first time we ran it. It's a recreation dodgeball league, but you wouldn't know it if you showed up. I think they all show up like they're professional dodgeball. And your own Mr. Mason participates as well. So they did conclude their first season. We will do it again. It seemed to be a very enjoyable, and it's a very loud experience if you ever come and want to watch. City Corps continues to flourish and participate and work on city beautification projects and what we call town keeping. We are currently recruiting more City Corps members, so if you know anyone between
because of your action, we actually can hire 16 and over now. So if you know anybody interested, please have them apply, but we're looking to add a few more positions to our city court team. But projects completed over this time, 239 projects. That computes to a little over 2,000 hours of time that they've put in. You see a couple of pictures there on the slide of them power washing the downtown area and the PBID area. I'll mention that it's in your report that PBID has continued also to support our city court program. Monetarily, they put money towards some hours so that we can have more hours available to employ our young people. And they also even contributed to assisting us to buy a power washer because the power washer we were using continued to burn up as we were doing it. So they also put a little bit of money in, or not a little bit, a lot of money in, and we contributed as well, so that the team has an active power washer. And then there they are also painting all the downtown poles. That was at the request of PBID. PBID funded the materials, and the kids went out and did the project. Oops, I went too far. Special events, we had our annual Easter egg hunt, our Arbor Day celebration. There's a picture there of the Arbor Day. As you know, we do it a little different each year. This year we celebrated with Glen City School and had students out there, so it was quite a success. Planted 5 trees. The poem contest winners were before you a month or so ago being recognized, so it was a great event. Our summer we hosted one summer movie nights during that period. We have another one coming up. We hosted one in July, and we'll have one in August. And then we had our first concert in the park, first concert for the series on June 19th. And then our volunteer program, we've really tried to hone in our youth services coordinator. Karina Alvarez is also our volunteer coordinator. And so we've really tried to make sure we're gathering our data and honing in on our volunteer opportunities. So over this last period, we had 66 volunteers contribute 519 hours. That comes out to roughly about $20,000 of service to the community. And they've done things like delivering meals. They are coaching or helping us with different beautification projects. So we're thankful to all our volunteers. And you should see something coming soon about another Santa Paula Beautiful Day as well coming up. And then senior services continued to serve our seniors. Over 286 seniors currently participating in programs. You can see a list there of our different classes: enhanced fitness, chair yoga, our knitting club, bone builders. We continue to host our meal program and our luncheons. I know all of you have been to a luncheon before. There's very well attended, over 100 seniors attend. And we will have our new coordinator come before you soon, maybe at the next council meeting, to introduce you. But last Monday, we had a new recreation coordinator start for senior services. That position had been vacant for a couple months now. And she started, her name is Neva Lee. She started Monday in that position. So we're excited to have her, and she's excited to serve our seniors. Senior nutrition program continued to put meals out to our seniors. Over that period, we served little over 4,200 home-delivered meals, 2,807 congregate meals, and then 520 city-funded Friday meals. That's the funding that you all approved to allow us to offer extra meals, and we use that. We call it Fun Friday and some things, and have different meals from restaurants generally in the community, and for a total of a little over 7,500 meals served to our seniors during that time. Then our parks and facilities continue to do a great job. They're a small but mighty team to get a lot of things done. As you can see, just the number of work orders that are issued, a little over 4,600 work orders issued during that time. 4,572 of them have been completed. 219 of them were graffiti-related work orders, which kind of graffiti ebbs and flows a little bit. That number is down a little bit from previous, but we kind of anticipate it to probably spike up a little bit too. It typically does over the summer months. So we'll see when I report out to you again what that number looks like at our next report. So facility improvements, very busy doing a lot of different projects. Did some here at City Hall, renovating the city clerk's office and various administrative offices. You can see we finished a portion of the landscaping in the front of City Hall. We'll be starting to work on the second half of that soon. The community center, if you've driven by the community center lately, did a whole renovation of kind of the front corner there on Steckel. and Main Street and freshen that area up. We'll be also hopefully soon doing a new sign installation. We did the senior side, and we want to match that on the community center side as well. Union Oil Building went through as we're, have new tenants there, and we're kind of getting things up and running for them and prep for them. Replaced didn't replace all of them, but replaced some of the plumbing fixtures and restroom fixtures and deep cleaned them and kind of got them up and running for our tenants at the oil building. Community Development Building, we've been having some chronic sewer issues off of that building. So we coordinated the design and proposals and replacement of portion of the sewer line to help solve that issue. So that work was done here in the last couple months. And Teague Park, you probably noticed the area was fenced off for quite some time. Did a lot of field renovations, including aeration, thatching, grading, topsoil and seeding, and working on our timer and installation of our irrigation timer. What's unique about this is a few years ago, we would have contracted all that work out, and now our staff is doing a lot of that work. We rent some of the equipment that we need, but our staff is doing the actual work on the fields, and they do a really good job on it. Sports Park completed drainage improvements adjacent to the softball fields by pouring some concrete gutters and things to help with the runoff. Upgraded various irrigation systems to put them online. So now our staff can actually control our irrigation remotely. So if we get a call that sprinklers have come on or we can detect leaks, we can actually see that remotely. We don't always have to come in to take care of the issues. Or we can respond to them faster than 30-minute drive in when you get a call that a sprinkler came on inadvertently. The staff can handle it, within minutes. Downtown beautification, in partnership with the Downtown PBID, the department's continued enhancing the appearance of downtown corridor through ongoing maintenance and infrastructure improvements. We've continued to been working on the tree lighting. We had some that weren't even working, about a row of 4 or 5 trees that weren't working, so worked on that. Replacing photo cells and different electrical components. Purchased a new, as I mentioned earlier, a new commercial pressure washer through our partnership with PBID. And we've provided them, at least through this year, a schedule of when that power washing will happen. Historically, the PBID was getting the power washing downtown quarterly, maybe 3 times a year, maybe quarterly. With our new schedule and the City Corps' involvement, the businesses are getting power wash in front of their business every other month. So we've been really able to increase the amount of services that are being offered to that area. Urban forestry. We did complete the first half of Grid 3 tree pruning. The second half of Grid 3, although it's technically into this fiscal year, we had bid it and provided the purchase order in last fiscal year, but that work will be starting soon. What's nice about that, or at least from the Parks and Rec Director perspective, is I did not anticipate us being on schedule with our tree maintenance. I didn't believe the budget would support that. So even though we have a 4-year plan, you build a plan on what you should do, not necessarily on the budget, and then you just tick away at the best you can. But we are on track. We're through 3 years of our grid in 3 years, bless you. And now we'll be starting on year 4 in year 4. So thank you for the continued support of our tree health. Our staff has done a really good job. We bid them each time separately so that we can try and get the best bang for our buck and get competitive bidding. And we're on track for our tree pruning projects. And then administrative, we had a staff member attend the Financial Sustainability Conference. The second part of that, through the California Park and Recreation Society. We continue to coordinate ongoing capital improvement facility enhancement projects. When I looked at our ticker, we have 14 ongoing maintenance projects or CIP level projects happening. So it's quite a list that we are constantly working on. Continue to contract administrative and project coordination for maintenance and infrastructure improvements. Supported recreation programming and special events. As you can see, the things we talked about earlier, park permits, film permits, and banner requests. And with the help of our Human Resources Department, as I mentioned earlier, we filled our Senior Center Program Coordinator vacancy. Excuse me. And with the support of the City Manager's Office, We've launched a campaign for the Farm Workers Monument Brick Program. That's been something that the community has been asking for some time. We are working to restore the monument, if you will. It's a little bit under disrepair, and so we are working and going to help raise some funds to do some repairs to that. The first campaign for brick sales just closed, and I think we sold over 60 bricks, and they will be in before Labor Day. So it's an ongoing sale, but our goal is to have all the new bricks in every year right before Labor Day. And then a few numbers, as you can see, I won't go through all of them, but you can see Harding Park has been very well used over this past season. A lot of that is because of the Little League and girls softball programs running during that time. But we have been busy, and you can see the barbecue pavilions as well. They get used on a pretty regular basis. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. The report you do have in your packet is very extensive, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Director Barnes.
I just have a quick question. The price of the bricks.
They were, so we did an introductory $100 brick.
Okay.
They're now $150. Yeah.
And where can people go to purchase one? Do they have to wait?
They can go to our website.
Okay.
And you just order them online. They, anything ordered now, though, won't be installed till next Labor Day, so we'll install them once a year.
Got it.
Anything that was ordered up to July 10th will be installed before this Labor Day.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember Cornell.
Thank you, Mayor. I did find it in the city newsletter online, the link to purchase a brick. So I did buy a brick under the wire, just barely with the deadline in order to get it at the lower price. I love couponing and discounts. Anyway, so mine will be in soon. I just would like to say how much I appreciate that your department, because you touch so many people in our community in such a positive way, and especially the youth. The seniors appreciate the attention that Parks and Rec gives them. I did want to ask, because I know it's an ongoing project, that pet project or complaint of mine for years has been the restrooms at Teague Park, and I believe that that's under construction. Do we have an approximate time when that will be ready?
It is. So the demo is complete. They're currently doing grading and utilities, and we expect a delivery of a restroom by the end of this month or first part of August, so pretty soon.
Wonderful.
Have a new restroom in
Yay.
place.
It's been long in coming, and I know it's been budget issues, a supplier who passed away. I mean, everything that could happen seemed to happen in order to get this to happen, but it really means an awful lot of people that use Teague Park, so I'm just good. It's a wonderful thing, and I really appreciate the follow-through to do it. So.
And we'll ask for a little bit of patience. Because of the design of the old restroom, there now is a partially missing brick wall that goes into the neighborhood. So we are getting bids to rebuild that, and we'll do some landscaping of where the former restroom had been demoed. So once we're done with the new restroom in place, we will take care of those items as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Just a
Councilmember Chavez.
general comment, Mr. Barnes, Director Barnes, I just wanted to thank you again for all the work you do in your leadership in the department. It's obvious you have a passion and you care deeply about our city and our residents experiencing the recreation that we provide. The 4th of July, all the activities that have happened, it's just a feel-good, you have a feel-good department that does amazing work, so please relay that message to your staff.
I will. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Do you have an update? Just, I know that, right, it's so funny, after the 4th of July, all the Halloween stuff starts coming out, right? And you're going to do something again this year at the community center?
We will. We'll have an event. Because of where it lands this year, I think our event's going to be the weekend before Halloween, but we'll have something out soon about our event.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your report. Thank you, Director Barnes.
you.
And this is a receive and file? Okay, so the next item we go to is 7D, United Water Conservation District presentation, and this will be by Tara Mulally. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Mayor Juarez and the rest of the City Council for having me here today. There's going to be a presentation, but I'm here to discuss our upcoming bond measure. This is an informational presentation where I just explain what it is, how it works, and what it does, and make myself available for questions from the council so that things are clear and misinformation is minimized. So the name of the bond measure, because we don't have a letter yet, that will happen in August, is the Water Supply Conservation and Water Quality Bond Measure for United Water Conservation District, and it's going to be on the November ballot. So of course, voting starts in October, but that's when the ballot is going to be placed. A little bit, I don't know if you guys in the audience, I'm sure you all know who United Water is, but sometimes people don't know who we are because we're, just like our service, invisible to the public eye. We're working on that. We're trying to make ourselves far more visible. But we serve about 400,000 people. In Ventura County, we're about 15% of the land in Ventura County that we serve, and Santa Paula Basin is one of the basins that we ensure has water in it. That's what we do, is we put the water back in. A lot of people take water out. We make sure it's still there when you need it. And we do that with quite a few different facilities, specifically Lake Piru Reservoir, which has Santa Felicia Dam, that flows down Piru Creek and then down Santa Clara River, which is actually that big river right there as part on the edge of Santa Paula down here. And then it continues on to our Freeman Diversion, where much of that water is diverted into our Satakoy Recharge Facility, where it percolates down into the groundwater basin there as well, and also down to our El Rio, where we also treat water and then provide that water to Oxnard and Port Hueneme. So this water in Lake Piru recharges the Fillmore Piru Basin, the Santa Paula Basin, Mound Basin, all of the Oxnard Forebay, Pleasant Valley Basin. So it's one of those things that it's sort of behind things, but it's very, very important to ensure that we have the least expensive water available, which is, of course, groundwater, versus having to import water from Northern California like many of the other agencies around here. And just as a reminder, we have done a bond measure successfully before, which is apparently a very rare thing. I've discovered this in the last probably year and a half as I've been doing research on our bond measure. It was last done in 1953, and it was to build the Santa Felicia Dam, which was built and constructed in 2 years in 1955. So we definitely do the things we say we're going to do with the money that's entrusted to us, which I wanted to highlight. Our challenges. There are 3 major challenges facing our agency right in this moment, and they are mandated. So these are not voluntary projects. Unfortunately, they're not things where we can just say, let's improve things and make things better. This is actually in order to protect our operations. So the 3 mandates are the Santa Felicia Dam Safety Improvement Project. It needs to, according to the Department of Safety of Dams and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, who regulate our dam. Now, it's beautifully maintained. However, it was built in 1955. So seismic retrofitting has dramatically changed in that time period. That's 70 years ago. We now need to move what's called the penstock, which goes through the dam right now, to around the dam. Because if that penstock in a 7.2 magnitude earthquake shifts or cracks, you end up with something like a sinkhole in the side of the dam. Now, the St. Francis Dam did collapse, and we know what that looks like. So we know what the pathway of that water looks like. We're obviously working on ensuring that that does not happen. This project is ready to go. We just need the funding in order to ensure that we can build it from beginning to end. And I'll go over what those costs look like in just a minute. We also have the Freeman Diversion Project, which the National Marine Fisheries Service has a biological opinion that says we need to improve our fish passage, that's so hard to say, and upgrade that along with our fish screens. And in doing so, we will be able to increase the capacity of our Freeman Diversion, which will benefit groundwater recharge and stop seawater intrusion. Speaking of seawater intrusion, we have our extraction barrier and brackish water treatment project, and that is a project which will pull water out of the ground, creating forces from both the freshwater and the seawater side, creating a barrier while still allowing us to have that additional water resource. And brackish water is less expensive to treat, so it's a benefit to the area rather than having to waste or put water into as an injection barrier. That's the other way that oftentimes people go. So the Santa Felicia Dam Safety Improvement Project, it's a $314 million project. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I'm just going to say it like it is. And as a reminder, 237,000 people live in that flood zone. So really wanting to make sure that that is seismically safe. Also, we have our spillway, which because of Oroville, the Department of Safety of Dams really wants to increase the spillway capacity from about 120,000 cubic feet to 220 cubic feet per second. So that's, if you imagine a cubic foot as a basketball, that's 220,000 basketballs in 1 second. To maintain as much as we possibly can, we're actually just going to be lowering the spillway so that way and I'm just going to put this up here, so that way this crest can stay the same, these pieces are all staying the same, so we're only building this part here, and that is the part that will lower. We're also going to be raising the dam crest here about 6.5 feet, which, because we're leaving the spillway the way it is, it won't increase the amount of water we can store there, but it will prevent overtopping should there be a massive storm. And as we continue to see increasing storms with increasing severity, that's a critical piece of our Santa Felicia Dam Safety Improvement Project. In terms of the Freeman Diversion Improvement Project, this is the fish ladder that currently exists. We'll be expanding that. And that cost is about $104 million. So again, it's required by binding federal court judgment. It is not an option for us. It is something that's being demanded. Otherwise, we could risk losing that operation. Extraction barrier and brackish water treatment project. This is to prevent seawater intrusion at its source, which is Point Magoo. We are working with the Navy in order to secure sites. We've already secured the sites, actually, and the design work has already, again, been done. So these are all projects that are either 30 to 60% design, as in case of the Freeman Diversion Improvement Project, to 90 to 100% done when we're looking at the phase 1 of Extraction Barrier and Brackish Water Treatment Project, also known as EBWater, if you're really cool, and for the Santa Felicia Dam. So let's look at the cost of those 3 combined projects. That's $469 million. However, we've already secured $3.15 million in grant funding to support those projects. We've also secured a WIFIA loan to help us fill those gaps in. That leaves about a $354.5 million gap, which is why our bond is about $350 million. So that's what we're looking to secure. Now, because this is spread out across our entire service area, it's really looking like about $24 a year per $100,000 of assessed value, which is for the average home around $121 a year, so less than $10 a month. To talk a little bit about how this process works, again, the election date is November 3rd. This is a 2/3 vote, so it's definitely going to be a heavy lift, and we're aware of that. And the bond measure total, as again I said, $350 million. Now, the bond would be issued over time in separate issuances. We're looking at this point at about 3 separate issuances up front to support all of the construction so that we can build right away and that you can see progress right away. And then that will be spread out over approximately 30 years in terms of the property tax. The projects from the bond program include those 3 projects, and as a reminder for accountability, it must go to the projects. It cannot, by law, be used for salaries, operations, administrative costs. I just want to be very clear on that. And again, it's $24 per $100,000 of assessed value of property, $121 a year, around $10 a month. For renters, obviously, there's no new direct tax because that's a property tax. And then the tax would begin in fiscal year 2028 and end in 2057. In terms of accountability, because that's very important to us as we're a public agency, which means we do not have a profit. There is 0 profit for us, just like for you. The bond legally restricts to voter-approved capital projects. Annual independent audits will be required by law. We will be sharing those through public reporting, and we'll also be reporting regularly to our constituents. We do host a Water Sustainability Summit every year, and we will be continuing to do so. This year, we'll have a community meeting during that time in order to ensure we're answering all questions related to this. And of course, the elected board of directors will continue to oversee all of the issuance of those bonds. For more information, you can attend a community meeting. We'll be hosting those in September and October. You can read the entire bond report if you have the time and opportunity. That is currently living on our website at unitedwater.org/bond. There's a whole webpage. You cannot miss it. If you go to our website, there's a big thing that says bond. There are handouts. I've left some with Julie. And if you have any questions that are not answered today or here and you think of something later, please email us at info@unitedwater.org. That goes right to me and I will answer that immediately. And with that, are there any questions? I told you to do it fast.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for your presentation. Question, Councilmember Chavez?
Thank you for your thorough presentation. I sit on the Association of Water Agencies, and we just lent our support on this bond. It's so critical. We don't want history to repeat itself. We have aging infrastructure, and all the signs are there that we have to take care of our infrastructure to ensure things don't happen like they happened in the past. In terms of 2/3 of the vote, correct, which is
Yep.
pretty difficult in these times, but as a council, I'm going to ask Mr. Singer on this, what would be your recommendation for us to put this action item so that we could lend our support for it? Is it something that's existing in our policy agenda, our legislative platform that currently falls into it, or is this something that you think we should bring back to the council for a vote?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the question. It's not unusual for kind of other governmental entities like United Water to ask bodies like this one to adopt a resolution of support. They've not yet done that. I think they wanted to start with kind of the educational portion, take your questions. But certainly if that's a request they want to make, we would agendize that. We can look at our legislative platform. That gives us a good guidance as to whether or not this is something that's called out. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either that would be specific
Yeah.
to this. However, it is a safety issue overall if these things aren't fixed or repaired or upgraded. And so, if we could look at the mayor and you working together to put this on a future agenda item, because it's critical for the community outreach piece to be there on such an important bond.
Vice Mayor?
And I know you were at the Business Roundtable and I asked you this question, but for the benefit of everyone else, what happens if your bond does not pass, given that these are mandates?
So the board will face very, very difficult decisions. One is to put this on rates, which will increase rates pretty dramatically. And if we do not secure any grants, that could mean up to $950 per acre foot from about $368 per acre foot. So not every year, but as it would be at pay-as-you-go. So we would just have to pay for this right out of pocket as we were building these things, instead of being able to minimize that spike. The other option would be to not move forward with these projects, which could mean that the operations at the dam may either be reduced or cease altogether, which could mean that we may have to drain the lake. That is a possibility. FERC has not laid out what it would look like for us. We may have to decommission the dam, which is another option. Currently, Potter Dam decommissioning is valued at about $532 million, so it would actually be an increase in price to decommission the dam, which would be a requirement. For the Freeman diversion, it could mean stopping any diversion of that water, so that means all the water that we release would go right to the ocean. And then with the EB project, that is the only project that allows us to meet the requirements of SGMA, which is the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act of 2014. And so that's what that would do.
And so for the benefit of the public, who pays those rates that you were talking about?
So rates are paid by cities as a wholesaler and also by farmers. So it would impact farmers more directly because they pay us directly for the water that they pump. And then cities would pay us through their rates to us.
Which comes out of our water
Right.
enterprise funds, which is paid by rates, which is paid by the residents.
Correct.
Trickle down.
Trickle-down effect, yeah. Go ahead, Councilmember Canal.
My question is, what percent roughly of the water goes to agriculture versus to the cities?
Oh, that is a great question. I do not know the
If you
question.
could, I'd like that.
Yeah, I know,
versus for-
I know a lot of the percentages, like we supply Oxnard approximately a third of their water directly and a third of their water and groundwater. I know that we recharge all of the basins specifically, and I also know we provide Port Hueneme with 80% of their water, so I know a lot of those things, but I actually don't know the answer to that question, but I would be happy to
I'd
secure
appreciate
that
I know I'm
and get
throwing
back to you.
something new at you that's not
Yeah,
part of the
absolutely.
presentation, but I'd appreciate knowing that. And the other thing is, in this, let me think about property taxes. It's the ag land pays property taxes as
Correct.
well, so they would be paying their share as well, as opposed to just the city landowners. Right.
Absolutely correct. It is every property within our service area would pay directly.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Any other questions? All right, well, we thank you for your presentation, and as you heard, our city manager is going to look into and see if that fits our strategic plan, and then also, I believe, if the Water Conservation District wants to make a request as well, I heard.
I'll be in touch.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Mullally. All right, now we have move on to item 7E, which is update on city grants. Is that our finance director or our city manager?
That is me.
Okay.
Although this report was prepared by our new deputy city manager, it is her birthday today, so she took the day off.
Thank you.
As council will recall, about 6 years ago, we weren't actively doing any grant writing or lobbying. And kind of around the time of COVID, as federal funds were available to us, we began to pivot towards both of those efforts. A couple of years ago, we gave you an update on how we were faring, both in terms of our federal and state lobbying efforts, as well as our overall grant writing. Because up until that point, the couple of grants we had tried to go after were large federal grants, and we were unsuccessful. So I'm pleased to report just a brief summary of where we now stand, because I think you'll take comfort in knowing that we've met with more success than failure. We have recently secured successful funds through the CMAQ program, which is actually a federal program, but achieved through the county and eventually SCAG at the Southern California region. That's what you see in the first column and why it's such a large amount. I'll get into that detail in just a minute. State money of over $1 million these last 2 years, and federal appropriations in these last 2 cycles of just over $2 million. That doesn't include the cycle we have going right now. Oops. A brief breakdown of that, as I said, we really didn't get efforts started until around 2020, when we hired Merchant McIntyre to represent us in Washington, D.C. We hired a company called California Consulting to start doing grant writing. We ended that relationship about 2 years later. We weren't finding that there was a lot of success. And so beginning in about 2022, we internalized our grant writing efforts. All of our departments have done a really good job, not only at some of the ongoing programs, but also at flagging and then working with the city manager's office, and namely the deputy city manager, on specific grant opportunities. Those could be in public safety, could be in parks and recreation, in infrastructure and public works, or in economic development. And so here's a brief breakdown of some of those categories. And as I said just a minute ago, the CMAQ grant that we were just awarded was the largest in the city's history. just under $4.2 million. That was in addition to the $1.5 million we were awarded the year before, which we've used for the design and engineering that's going into the expansion of the Santa Paula Trail. In addition to that, the Ventura County Transportation Commission granted us an additional $1 million. So the 4.2 and the $1 million will now be available, and anything that's excess from the $1.5 million, that will all be money that's available to go from final design and engineering of the bike trail project right into construction. And so you'll see that final design coming to you this year. It'll probably be fall, maybe early winter, and I'm excited to say that we'll be able to move very quickly then right into starting to bid that project out, or the various components of it. In the public safety arena, we've had some success, especially with Cal OES and Cal Fire in securing funds. We also got a retail theft grant a couple of years ago that has carried us through a few years. Not up there is some VCTC monies that's allowed us to buy some equipment, including some of the signs that you see that we deploy. You saw it at 4th of July, warning residents about illegal fireworks and events and road changes and things like that. In our Parks and Rec department, we successfully secured Prop 68 money, have been successful with our VC AAA, including some one-time monies that they've made available that we've gone after, and also some healthy aging funds and annual funding through Cal Recycle. And in Public Works, we've also met with success. Our SB 1383 Recycling and Recovery Grant, which has helped offset some of our outreach programs and some staffing costs. Local Road Safety Plan grant, and then recently our Office of Traffic and Safety, which was for law enforcement. So that gives you kind of a summary. As you can see, some of those grant funds are separate, but in addition to some of the remarkable monies we've secured from our federal government. And so thanks to our partners in Washington, D.C., we have been very successful in securing now $2 million, as you know, for Harvard Boulevard, $1 million for the Mesa tanks, $1 million towards the Crosstown Pipeline. We have secured $1 million for the Sports Park complex, which has yet to be spent, but will go towards Phase 2. Those are state monies. And then we have a request in right now to the federal government. Congresswoman Brownlee has put in that request for $772,000 for dispatch upgrades and radio upgrades for our police department. We are pleased that Senator Padilla has put on his list 1.1 million of that request. So one way or another, we're fairly confident we're going to see funding. Those have both made it through the appropriations process, so they are still on the list to be supported if the federal government passes appropriations as part of their budget this fall. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but just wanted to give the council and the public the benefit of that summary and to know that we continue our efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Singer. Councilmember have questions for Mr. Singer? Councilmember Chavez?
Each of us get an opportunity to lead the city as its mayor, and I know each of us has taken that and gone to Washington, and we've seen the legislative process in action, and so it's important to appreciate and be grateful for the fact that we dove into that, because I'm not sure what the city was doing before 2019 in terms of grants, but it does make a difference that we put some emphasis and energy where we could get resources that really help our city become a better place for everybody. So I do want to thank everyone that's touched that, because it isn't a one-person show. It is a collaboration. It's about collective accomplishment. and at all levels of staff, locally, electeds, the partnerships and the relationships that are through those circles, serving on the VCTC boards or the water agency or anything that we can do to get our footprint out there comes back down to our energy that we're putting out into participation and representation. So I do think it's quite an accomplishment for us as a city to get our city out there so that we're able to gather the resources we need to improve the quality of life for our residents. So I wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And it has been in the past, and I'm sure it'll continue to happen, but a mere presence, meeting our representatives really makes a difference. It really does. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Singer, for that. We're going to move on to item number 8, City Council reports. We'll start with our Councilmember Ornelas.
I don't think I have anything to report. I always forget, but I don't think I have anything.
Nothing? All right. If you remember when we're going around the room, just speak up. There you go. All right. Councilmember Chavez, you have something you want to add?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. there's copies of my report for the last 2 months, kind of highlighting all the activities that I've been involved in for transparency purposes. And one of those things that is exciting, and Ms. Crosswhite and everybody else on the council that serves on county boards or commissions, we always learn something new, and we always want to bring it back to our city so our residents and our neighbors could benefit from that. We just approved a reappropriation of funding to support what's called the buyback program for old vehicles. I know when I drive around Santa Paula, we sometimes see these eyesores and just sitting there. And so basically, if you have a vehicle that is 2003 or older, you could look into qualifying for this buyback program. So if you're not planning on using the vehicle, you can get $2,000. So I'm going to be sharing that information with the city manager and his team so he can get that information out to our residents. It's really a neat program. The other thing is that we approved as part of the Air Pollution Control Board is equipment to help our local farms. And, when we vote for things, and I'm the new kid on the block, right? I'm always like, oh, where is this going? I'm always impressed to hear that our businesses are benefiting from these programs where you can reduce emissions by getting new farm equipment. And so for those in the community, there's a lot of incentives that are available through the Air Pollution Control Board that I think are really critical for all of our residents, but also I'm going to bring over this program idea to Mr. Barnes because we can create our community center into a with new upgraded air equipment like they did in Port Hueneme, so that it can be a zone or a space that has clean air during emergencies. And so those are infrastructure investments that we can try to bring to our local city to help our public services. And I'll end with that.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. Councilmember Cornell?
Thank you, Mayor. I have probably just a couple things that I'd like to highlight that I've done in the last couple weeks, and one is attending the VCOG, Ventura Council of Governments meeting, and we had a presentation by County Health, and they are interested, I think they've spoken to all the city managers about the same thing, in working on a task force countywide. They were looking for support for this, for enforcement on sidewalk vendors. And they will be looking at particularly at enforcing health permitting. They're not trying to get involved in city business licenses or anything like that, but it is going to be involve working with local law enforcement on enforcement. But what they want to do is collaborate so that we have similar rules, similar processes, so that we can all work together with the county health and each individual municipality. And VCOG was strongly endorsed this as a project that's very good that could be worked together on countywide to work on those health issues on this. It's a big complaint in many cities of the sidewalk vendors that may not be licensed or confirmed healthy. And there have been some accidents in our county where people have been injured by propane tanks and things like that. So that's moving forward, and they're just still rounding up support and trying to create processes for this so that we can have shared information on how to handle that issue. And then the other is we've had some long meeting and more meetings tomorrow with PBID, the Property Business Improvement District. We have a new board, a very energetic board, and so they're, combing over the bylaws and the procedures so that they can move forward. And I think they intend to be a little more independent and less reliant on the city, which would relieve the city a bit as far as what we ask of them from the committee. But they want to do it right and set it up so that they can do some independent expenditures, which they are allowed to do, to get some things done. And so there's great hope for that and a lot of energy anyway. So I think there's a lot coming from the PBID committee at this time. So that's it. Thanks.
All right, thank you for that. Vice Mayor Crosswhite.
Yeah, so just something that it occurred to me at the VCTC meeting this past week, because we were talking about fare box recovery, which is the amount of money that's recovered from people who pay to ride the bus, or through when you have like a student ride free program right now, that money then also goes into that pot to cover those fares. And so there has been since 2020 a program, they keep passing what they call fare box relief, where we're not having to meet the 10% of the operating costs. Prior to that, the city, just because I'm not sure if all of you know, the city used to have to cover an amount of the fare box that wasn't being covered because VCTC doesn't have its own independent sales tax measure. So they didn't have a fund that they could use to cover the fare box. So the city had to come up with funds to cover the fare box, and then we did a money swap where they would give us street funds that could only be used for street funds. So we would get extra street funds in exchange for our money. And so just so that you all know that that's something that used to happen. So long as the fare box recovery remains on pause, we don't have to worry about that. But it is something that we've been advocating every year at VCTC, that somehow they need to change the way the system works, because what ends up happening is when agencies aren't able to meet that, they often just cut service, and sometimes that's service to people who really need it because they don't have any other way to get around. And so it ends up becoming this spiral of, I can't take the bus, so I don't take the bus. And then you might have been taking that to another line. Well, now that other line is now getting a decrease in fare that they're receiving. So it looks like, fingers crossed, the state is going, they have until, I think it was September, for the governor to sign all the things that he needs to sign. If that did not happen, we would be back on the hook for helping to meet the fare box. It looks like it's very likely that at least for one more year, it will pass. And then there's a lot of advocacy from all of the transportation agencies, though they're not all impacted as much as we are here in Ventura County, to make sure that there's some kind of reform on how this is calculated, whether it's on ridership or some other metrics. So just that came back up, so I thought I would share that. Also, we had an update on the St. Francis Dam Disaster Memorial Project that the Historical Society is working on. We got to see the renderings, and that'll be coming to the Santa Paula Branch Line Advisory Committee for approval, because in the MOU between VCTC and the city, that is the committee that will actually approve being able to move forward with those improvements. But we did get to see the renderings, and they did look very nice. And then we had Caltrans was present, and I spoke with them, and they were saying that they have found out that they're going to have to redesign the engineering of the paving before they can actually pave the 10th Street /150 segment, and that is part of what's impacting the delays on the curb ramps on some of those corners that are either temporary or haven't been finalized. Did you happen to notice if they've made any movement? Okay, So I did stress the importance of, they said, but they're all supposed to be traversable. And I said, but they're not. So they are supposed to be sending out staff to look at that, and we will follow back up again if that has not happened in a timely manner. But part of the delay has been they realized they're going to have to, because they have to re-engineer for the street, they have to re-engineer for those curb ramps to make sure that when the street is repaved, it's all ADA compliant. So that has been the reason for the delay, but we will continue to talk with them about the timeline and making sure that they're all people are able to, in the meantime, go through those intersections, because I've seen some fairly dangerous things with people trying to cross and then realizing they couldn't cross and then having to walk out and around, and it's not good. So hopefully they will begin to make some more improvements there. Let's see, I did attend a CalCog meeting. I will skip that update because it's less relevant right now. If it passes, I'll let you know more. Let's see. The Clean Power Alliance, I had 2 meetings, an executive committee meeting and a board meeting. And just for those people who have electric vehicles, you may or you may not, but there's going to be a pilot program that starts in the notices will go out in August and September to let you know whether or not you were selected to participate in a pilot program for a modified rate. Right now, there's a modified rate that you can opt into, and if you have opted into that rate where you have certain times of the day that are more or less expensive than the other rate structure, this rate structure actually has in order to encourage people to charge during the day, it has an even lower rate during the day. And so they're going to do it as a pilot. There's some protections in place. If the rate just does not work for you at all and your bill ends up being way higher, then they will actually reimburse you for the cost. But they're trying to see whether or not they can encourage people to shift the load to when the energy is the cheapest. Because up until 4 o'clock during the day, the energy is cheaper than even it is at night. And right now, it's cheaper to charge at night. And so they're trying to play with that and just see, for some people, it may not be viable. If you get it and you're like, I just can't do this, you can always opt out, but know that for the first 2 years of the program, there is a protection in place that if it ends up being way more expensive, then you get reimbursed for that cost. But that should all be in the flyer if you're chosen. Not everyone will receive one. I don't remember right now the sample size, but I think it was like 4,200 customers across the entire, region, which is Ventura and LA counties. So the number of people here will likely be relatively low, but it'll be a random sample across the region. And I attended the Channel Counties dinner, the ribbon cutting. The mayor was unable to be at the ribbon cutting for the Flying Spoon, so I did represent the mayor at that grand opening. The business roundtable on, I don't remember what day it was, but it was the last Thursday of June. There were presentations on the Westminster Free Clinic, and also Gloria Martinez, who is part of the county's economic development department, also gave a report at that meeting. And then I just wanted to note at the Southern California Association of Governments, I had 4 meetings, but the 2 things that I wanted to share, one was that I think I might have shared previously that there were 24 individuals that were chosen from across the region to participate in the Future Leaders Academy. 2 of our one current and one former fellow were chosen, Gloria Parra and Mirka Vargas, to participate in that program. But part of what I wanted to point out is that I didn't realize until our last meeting, they received 200 applications. And we ended up with 2 of the 24 individuals that were chosen to participate in the program. And so I just really want to express how proud I am of our fellows. And I think they both had a great time participating in that. It was a 6-month program. that allowed them to give some input and share thoughts on the future of this region, and then also engage with planners and staff and leadership in the region. And so I'm just really excited and proud of those two individuals that were our interns, were chosen out of a field of 200 to participate in that program.
Gloria's still here.
Yes, Gloria's still here. And then the last thing was we heard about an emerging technology that is still very limited in availability, but there's a couple of vehicle models on the market that allow it. But there's some piloting of potential to do vehicle-to-grid charging. But like I said, there's very few vehicles that can do it. And so that's an area of future technology that might be interesting. There's also a couple of models of vehicles that can do vehicle to home. So if you had charge in your battery and you had a power safety shutoff event, certain vehicles with a converter can be used to help power your home. And then also there's some vehicles where there'll be a plug-in where you could do like a toaster or a fridge or that kind of thing. So we had a presentation on that technology at our Energy and Environment Committee meeting. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor. Besides our regular council meetings, we also, I think most of us attended a closed session on June 23rd and June 30th, and I appreciate the Vice Mayor and others. In my absence, I went on a 10-day camping vacation in Calaveras County, but anyway, I'm back. I was honored to give the history of the police department to our newest recruit. Her name is Sierra Garibay, and when I walked into the station, I knew who she was because I know that her grandfather had worked for the police department. So I walked over to the picture in the hallway, and I said, "Have you found your grandpa in here?" And she said, "I can't find him." So I pointed him out, and then when I showed her the presentation, Albert Garibay was here in the 70s, and he was one of the drivers of the orange and white police cars. And so I had a colored picture of him next to a Plymouth and a Dodge, and I sent through the pictures, so now the family has those pictures. But she just joined the police department, and I, welcomed her and told her she's a legacy because her grandfather was here. Just a note that we did not have a cruise night in July, but we will have one August 7th, and the band would be the Wade Brothers Band. There'll be two more after that. In September, the band will be 805 Rockin' Oldies, and in October, it'll be a band called the Beach Notes. And as Vice Mayor Crosswhite said, there's a monument that's being designed and funded right now called Flood Path. And the dedication date is set for, please mark your calendar, Sunday, March 12th, 2028. I know it seems like a long ways away, but it'll be here before you know it. That'll be the centennial of the St. Francis Dam disaster. There's a whole day of events that are going to happen that day with the culmination of a river of lights at Ebell Park that night. And that's my report. Thank you. We have now city managers' reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just a couple of announcements. Our pavement management program is getting underway. Work starting up on the hill at McKevitt and Teague. But we'll quickly, by later in the month, be moving down into the Oaks, including the repaving of a number of our parking lots, both at our parks and also in our downtown. So that will start occurring in late July and early August. After the summer pavement is done, we're going right into the fall work, and those projects will happen, and we'll make those announcements. Those are going to be primarily on the west side of town on some of our major collectors and in a few of our neighborhoods. Also, I know a number of you have asked about the park and orchard work. Prep work is starting now, but that work is not going to begin in earnest until just about the start of August. But that said, the long-awaited bridge is well underway, and they start the concrete pour this Friday. It will take, how many consecutive hours? 16 consecutive hours of concrete pouring. So they'll be starting at 3 in the morning. We are notifying the adjoining residents because there'll be some disruption just for that one night as they look to pour a lot of concrete. So we're excited to see that work done. I wanted to point out for the public's sake that we won't be meeting again until August 19th. So the council's going dark for part of the summer. And then just wanted to also acknowledge the work that Greg and his whole team did on July 4th. The sports park is a marvelous venue, but especially when you're trying to get 8,000 to 10,000 people to show up and enjoy their time and their family. I know a lot of you were either out of town or unable to be there, and so I wanted to read to you something that I sent Greg the next day because I got this on Nextdoor. And it was from a local resident who generally complains more than she compliments. I won't say who it is, but I appreciated her compliments even more because she said, "Thank you, Santa Paula, for a great show last night. I don't really like fireworks, but the show you put on was spectacular. I and my family just loved it. Congratulations," and some hearts. And then ironically enough, right under that post was a post from a neighboring city. I'm not going to call them out because it wasn't very complimentary. It said to the council, "You should be so embarrassed and ashamed of the presentation of fireworks that you displayed on July 3rd. You know, what you called the 250th birthday celebration was a disgrace for our city. And would you all please consider resigning?" But anyway, I just thought it was it was an ironic juxtaposition of that post being right under our post. Our show was double the length of 16 minutes. I think it was almost 30 minutes. And it was truly, truly spectacular. So just wanted to thank him and everyone that put their time into that.
Sure.
So
Vice Mayor?
Greg.
that's all I have.
We weren't
Thank-
asked to resign.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
City Manager, I get a lot of questions. Do we have an estimate? I mean, I realize there's a ballpark, but an estimate of when the bridge is going to be completed? Is it spring, summer, fall of next year?
Yes, so probably around April or May.
Okay.
Mr. Raines.
Any other questions for City Manager?
Actually, can we ask the city manager to highlight again, because this is such amazing stuff in regards to the streets, so people know when things are coming. Could you ask the city clerk to put the website on there? Because you've updated the map of the city, and I know people are always asking, when is my street going to get repaired? And I know that the Public Works Director and his team have made updates, so the next phase, I think it's important for people to know how to navigate to that information. And that's under departments, Public Works.
Well, she's finding that. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade or street, but, you know, they did say that this is going to be an El Nino year.
Right.
And I just hope it doesn't affect our street paving, because that would be just,
Knock on wood.
I know, to have all this money and time and equipment, and then if it rains a lot. So we'll see. Hopefully
I
not.
believe most of the work is scheduled to be concluded like by the end of October.
Yeah, before the rains, hopefully.
Yeah, and just for the public's benefit, the work that's happening now with the bridge involves being in the creek. But the intention is to be out of the creek by November 1st, which starts the rainy season. And it really shouldn't affect their schedule because most of the work then will be outside of that restriction, so.
Do you know where on here?
Yeah, departments,
Yeah,
Public
go to
Works.
departments up top.
And while we're waiting for that, Chief Aguilar, I'd really want to commend the officers working 4th of July night. After the fireworks were over, I think most people went home, but then an arsonist started a fire with those, you know, balloons, and your officers did a lot of legwork before and after and apprehended the person. So, again, thank you to your officers for that work. I mean, they probably caught the suspect, but, you know, probably could have been a potential disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I should have pointed that out, not in just recognizing Greg's department, because I know that last year when we had people leaving the park, it took a good couple of hours to get everyone out of there. I understand this year it was all of about 45 minutes because of the work that they did to staff the intersections and really move people out.
Good. Thank you.
So we're actually watching the map, the live map, where the staff highlight the streets that are going to be repaired. If you kind of like hover over the street, so let's go to the F currently because that's the worst streets in the entire city. Park and Orchard. You see?
Right?
And if you go up a little bit, it's going to tell you the name of the street, and then it's going to say the timeline. So I know that it's difficult for folks, but what's the alternative, right? So you've waited long enough. So it is going to be difficult for parking in certain areas, but that too shall pass, and then you're going to have nice, beautiful streets. So just want to say that we're all excited about this, and we hope our residents will be patient and understanding as we're getting through these major infrastructure improvements.
All right?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So now we're going to move on to the consent calendar. And do we have any public comment or anybody in the webinar?
No, Mayor, we still have no public for.
Okay, and no public comment. Okay, so this consent calendar, usually it's, all these matters could be moved by a motion, but does any council member have an item they have a question on or want to pull?
Motion to approve consent calendar.
I just have one question. Mr. Singer, you and I talked today about 10G and just the language between 1 year and 2 years. Was that?
Can I go ahead and second that motion so that we can then you can?
Okay.
So I second that motion.
Thank you.
All except for, or, okay, then we can have a discussion. Okay. All right, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar, and I just have a question on 10G, which is the job description, and I just had a question about the consistency of the language.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did not get a chance to validate whether the staff report is incorrect or the language in the job descriptions is incorrect. I would ask that council, if the city attorney is comfortable with it, and let me just go to the page. If it turns out that the job descriptions are incorrect, if the council would approve these changes with the possibility of this one typographical error, under minimum qualifications, it suggests at least 2 years of experience as a peace officer with another law enforcement agency as a substitute for years of experience, but the staff report says at least 1 year. So there's an incompatibility there. I don't know
I
if the
can
chief.
clarify that if you'd like.
What's that?
I can clarify it if you'd like the intention, because I spoke to the Human Resources Director or Manager. So the intent is that that's the clarification that's being requested, correct? The intent is that there is currently a 3-year requirement that 2 years with another agency will make up for the 1 year with the city of Santa Paula. So it would be 2 years with another agency and 2 with the city of Santa Paula. So the equivalent of 2 years with another agency for the 3rd year of a requirement for city of Santa Paula. Correct, Chief?
Then I think the experience wording here needs to be amended because it's confusing. It seems to indicate at least 2 years as a police officer with the department and at least 2 years of experience, which would of course be 4 years.
Correct, because the 2 years with another agency would make up for the 1 year with the 3rd year with the city of Santa Paula.
Oh, because it's an or, 3 years or 2 years plus 2 years.
Correct.
Okay, so it's okay as it stands. Very good, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Director Ramirez. Okay, so now it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, it carries. Thank you so much. Now we move on to item 11, which is action items. First, it's going to be 11A, the mid-cycle budget by Chris Ramirez. Do we have any public comment on that?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Okay, thank
And
you.
Mr. Mayor, while the finance director's coming to the podium, there's kind of always an ongoing little joke that she's always last on the agenda, that her items are always last. And I just want to point out, I made sure it was first this time. This is the first action item you have tonight.
Which is very kind, because technically I'm on vacation today.
Yes,
and this
that's true.
week.
That's true.
So-
Thank you for coming in.
Of course, no, thank you for having me. This is not my PowerPoint. So while my PowerPoint comes up, I will start because I don't have a slide on this, but I do want to discuss what this is. So this is the mid-cycle adjustment report. As you all know, but the public may be less familiar with, we have adopted a 2-year budget. So in January of quite some time ago is when we started reviewing what we were going to need through July or June of next year. So we're looking far in advance for the budget. Thankfully, that saves staff a lot of time. Budgets run for a 6-month process, and it's a really heavy load on department heads, on the finance department, on the staff that's putting in the work to, get all these estimates and whatnot. But what that means is that because we're looking so far in advance, there may be some changes that come up. The budget is a moving target, just as it is every quarter when we come to you. That said, we don't have as many changes as we have in the past years, and we're very, very grateful for that. The one that we do have is a big one, but we'll go over it. So this is the mid-cycle budget adjustments. I'll give an overview first of what is being requested, go into detail, and then circle back again. Okay, so we're asking council to approve the resolution amending the 26-27 budget. This is not something we normally do. I want to make sure that it's clarified that whenever we amend the budget, we don't come to you with a resolution every single time. But because we also have to adopt the GAN limit every year, we're doing it as a resolution process this time. So that resolution will include both the increase in expense allocations that are being requested and adopting the city's GAN limit. We're also asking you to approve the updated position control list if you are supportive of the changes that are being requested. So just a quick reminder, the fiscal year 26-27 budget included excess revenues over expenses totaling just shy of $900,000. That is still a balanced budget. We are not asking for more expense allocations than money that is coming in on a year-over-year basis. The reason why we were so conservative in that budget process is because for 3 years prior to that, we kept having to come to you and adjusting almost $1 million down in development activity revenue that did not come in. So we're really careful this time. We're blessed that that isn't the case this year. Things have actualized as we had projected them this past year, and it looks like that's going to happen again next year. So the requests that you're going to see, including for the general fund, an increase of $416,000, 84% of which is attributable to insurance liability increases and workers' compensation increases, is still a balanced budget with what you adopted because there was a surplus when it was first adopted. But first, let's talk about those revenues and where we're seeing them come in over the next year. So for property taxes, home sales continue to increase with all of the new development, and the values continue to increase, which indicate a trend of increased property revenues. However, those figures have not yet been provided. You'll see that we're waiting on a lot of these this informational data that will come to us. But right now, things are looking good. Again, this year's revenue projections exceeded our expectations. Sales tax, no changes are being made at this time. We're a little bit more cautious with this due to increased costs related to fuel and tariffs and whatnot. But so far, again, we have seen actuals meet projections. We will receive additional information in July. I wish we could have had that meeting in time for this meeting, but we'll receive additional information from our consultants, HDL, in a couple of weeks. So when we come back to you in September, October for our year-end and first quarter review, we'll be able to better project where we'll stand. Property tax in lieu of motor vehicle license fees, we projected an increase of 3%. That's a modest increase. Again, it's a conservative increase because it has ranged from a 2% increase year over year to an 11% increase year over year. That is also one that we do not have good statistical data to rely on to say this is where it normally trends. It jumps. So we're hoping that it stays in the 9 to 11% increase so that will be a happy surprise for us. But as of right now, we're not making any recommendations. We did reach out to the county. They will have those figures updated for us in December. So as soon as we have those, we will come back to council. Every year over the past 10 years, we have come back to council and said it's more than we projected because we just can't project those jumps. Development-related activity, there have been some changes related to some projects that have been delayed, but then other projects that weren't expected have come up, so we expect those projected revenues to still be achievable. So then let's talk about the expense allocation requests that are being done in this staff report. Starting with the general fund, non-personnel related, there's a $30,000 request for recruitment services related to the city manager recruitments, as well as $18,000 in increased annual costs related to body-worn cameras and tasers. We have a $415,000 overall increase to insurance and workers' compensation. I want to make sure that the public knows that in the staff report, there's specific detail into what is increasing and what is not. For example, workers' compensation is increasing $50,000, but property and miscellaneous liability is decreasing $50,000 to $60,000. It's really the liability insurance that is increasing by a significant portion. Of that $415,000, $348,000 is attributable to the general fund. As soon as we received this data, we immediately reached out to the Cal JPIA, and they were able to provide us with additional information because we wanted to know if this was an us problem or if it was a nationwide problem or what the issue, where these expenses were really coming from, which of course individual member losses are a contributing factor. However, they let us know that it is nationwide increases. Actuarial base rates are up 15 to 20%. Within our pool, the average increase is 23%, but multiple member agencies are also seeing 30% increases to their liability costs. So it really is across the board. For personnel-related expenses, for the general fund, we are asking for a reclassification of the admin analyst 2 and accountant position in Parks and Recreation for admin analyst and finance for the accountant position. These costs, the costs related to these will be none for the finance department because of salary savings that we have with our current vacancy, and also because in the past year we were we needed to shift one of the accounting specialists to start assisting with the water customers. So that actually saved the general fund more than what this cost is for the management analyst. The Parks and Recreation will see an increase of $19,666, which will be utilizing the existing general fund balance. Another cost request that would have a net zero fiscal impact is $20,000 for the Parks and Recreation to have a fellow. We just heard about the success of the fellowship program, and the Parks and Recreation Department feels that they would greatly benefit from this. This will be funded through a decrease in facility attendant hours, which will have salary savings there, and $10,000 in the city manager's fellows budget line item. Another net zero fiscal impact would be a part-time, temporary part-time assistant to the city clerk. This was budgeted as part-time assistance. I should have said assistance instead of assistant. I apologize. We had that budgeted as an external, like a temp help. This is just keeping the same budget amount, but making it be an internal position as an administrative assistant. For expenditures, for personnel that's non-general fund related, we have the Community Facilities District Park and Abatement Specialist. Council previously approved having a park and abatement specialist part-time for the cost of $16,416 be funded in 25-26. We're asking that to continue. That will also use the CFD fund balance. And for non-personnel expenses, not for general fund, we have $13,852 in revenues and expenses related to Prop 218 mailings. The reason why it's a revenue and expense is because Athens will pay for that, so it will be more of a pass-through for the solid waste collections rate increases. And we also have a $100,000 catch basin excluder stormwater fund. This came to council previously. We let you know that it would be a 4-year CIP, but because we did not adopt the year 2 budget at the time, this is what is needed to be done to continue that program and to continue meeting those compliance requirements. So net fiscal impacts to the general fund, the accountant reclassification in finance, the admin assistant change for the city clerk, and the ACC fellow for Parks and Recreation. The ones that would have a fiscal impact would be the $30,000 city manager recruitment, the $18,000 increase for Axon and tasers, the $19,666 for the admin analyst reclassification, and of course, the majority of that 84%, $348,000, $490 for the liability insurance and workers' compensation increases. For non-general fund fiscal impacts, we have the $100,000 for the catch basin excluders using the stormwater fund balance, $16,400 for the community facilities district for that park and abatement specialist continued funding, and $67,387 for the insurance and workers' compensation costs to other funds, which would also use those fund balances. The GAN limit adoption is also required annually. This is included in the resolution for the mid-cycle for fiscal year 26-27. It has to be recalculated once the Department of Finance issues their price and population change letter, which was just done, I believe, in April or May, so we can now adopt the GAN limit. So in relation to the requests that were mentioned earlier, we have the position control list, which again would temporarily establish that admin assistant for the city clerk, reclassify those two positions to management analyst, decrease the facility attendance, full-time equivalent. Not shown will be the fellow position, and I think that's it, the fellow position, because it's not part of the position control list. Questions and comments, if you have any.
Any question for Director Ramirez? Vice Mayor?
Question, so given that this is a 2-year budget, I'm trying to remember, because we've kind of gone back and forth on how the 2 years works with the auditor. So any balance that isn't being requested to be allocated right now, do those revenues go into the reserve, or do those revenues roll over because if they were developer fees that are one time that were intended for next year that came early?
So I'll address first the development fees that came in early. I received clarification that even though the 26-27 fees came in early, we're still projecting the 27-28 fees to come into 26-27, and vice versa for the following year. So we are still with the same projections for revenue in 26-27 that we originally had. Originally, I thought that would be decreased. That's not the case. That said, if there is a surplus of revenues to expenses, if we have a positive ending fund balance, we will come to council for your year end, and that will go in accordance with the reserve policy and the fiscal policies that you've adopted back to the reserve fund balance.
Okay, and then do you happen to know what our current reserve fund balance is?
So it was originally 3.6 million. We lent some out. We do still have a carrying over fund balance, which you'll recall was also one that we were very conservative with because we did expect some of those changes. So that will become much more clear in the year-end report. And we also, my understanding is that we received the payment for the stormwater 6 storm drain, one of those emergency, so we'll be able to repay the reserve fund for the loan that I made.
That came from FEMA, right?
That
Wasn't it
was
reimbursement?
FEMA money for the sinkhole
Thank you.
Okay.
on 6th
Okay.
Street.
So we did finally receive that. Awesome, thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember Cornell.
Thank you, Mayor. A few small things, if I can remember them all as I stack them in my head. First, I do want to acknowledge and credit your department for the 2-year budget. I know that when I speak to other cities, they're actually jealous of it, and they just kind of look like, how did you do that? Because that's such a heavy lift to do that. And so the fact that we do that, I think, is smart, it's forward-thinking, it's forward planning, and also lifts a bit of the load for the department at the off year. So that was 2. One is, I did want to just ask on the ACC fellow, we're paying $20,000, their program is covering some of their benefits. So we're actually getting the benefit of a full salary, but not having to pay for it. Is that still the case with that?
Absolutely.
So it's great.
Yes, we pay a flat amount. They receive about double that amount, plus benefits and incentives and training.
Right. Yeah, it's just a marvelous program, and so we get a lot of work for that amount that we're paying out. And as we know from the people that have been working with us, winning positions in leadership, it's really an excellent program. So I'm glad we're continuing that and expanding that into the other department. And then the third thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that the $30,000 set aside for recruitment of future city manager was not necessarily a request. It is kind of a placeholder until council has a chance to create a plan, forward motion. So it really is kind of a placeholder, but not an unreasonable one in my view. Is that right?
I would say that that's correct. It's industry standard. It would be a discredit for myself as your finance director to come to you with a mid-cycle knowing that this is the
And not
industry
anticipate
standard.
that, right, exactly. So, okay, I appreciate that, and thank you.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yeah, quickly, can you go back to the property taxes?
Sure.
And, every time we talk about these things, we want to reiterate, as we're growing, we're collecting new property taxes. However, the vast majority of those property taxes leave our city, correct? Can you just briefly explain that so that if people don't know that they can?
Yes, so we have a very helpful breakdown of property tax, the property tax dollar, and where that dollar goes to. In 2017, 2018, when the fire department was annexed by the county assumed a significant portion of the property taxes that the city used to receive. And the last we checked, that was about $3.5 million. However, that's going to increase significantly, not only with the home sale values and increased number of homes that are being sold, but also because the RDA dissolution was just completed, so that RDA revenue will also now be redistributed. Dan, I believe, just finished telling one of the residents that out of the dollar we get, it's 4% what our total is. So 4% of the dollar.
And then the last thing, do you recall how much we put aside for the police chief recruitment?
I want to say $27,000.
I think so.
Okay, so was it similar?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion for recommendations for 1 and 2.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Do you need it read?
No.
Okay. All right, so moved by Councilmember Moreno. Who seconded over here? Vice Mayor. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. All right, that motion carries. We're done with the action items. Thank you, Director Ramirez, for coming in on your vacation. We didn't put you last on the... We move on to 12 items for future agenda items. Do we have anything pending besides the master list? Or anything that's come up?
Mr. Mayor, I will just point out, if I could, we are anticipating a study session on August 19th for the council. That's on the request for an overview of city growth. We'll plan to record that and hopefully broadcast it as well. And then there is going to be a special meeting of the council that I should have mentioned on August 25th, and that would be for the purpose of our mobile home rent review ordinance. So that'll be a public workshop at the community center.
Okay. Do we know what time that'll be?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Thank you.
Yes.
Would you mind just going over, just to prepare people on what's coming up for the next meeting?
For August?
Yeah, some of the things that are on here.
Yeah, we have a couple of celebrations, including from Food Share and recognition of the girls' softball championship. The team will be here. And we'll be doing a one-year update of your strategic plan. The police department has their activity report. We also have a recent grand jury report that was countywide about how communities have dealt with fireworks and firework complaints. So we'll have our response to that. We probably will have the Red Tail housing proposal. That's a recommendation that Red Tail is making to convert additional units that were otherwise going to be market rate into possible affordable units. So excited to come back to you with some recommendations there. We anticipate, if not at the August meeting, then September, coming to you with water and sewer rate preliminary discussion, as well as a reorganization proposal for our water division. The Athens rate increase was moved to the first meeting in September, just to meet the 45-day notice required under Prop 218. Those notices go out at the end of this week.
I appreciate that, Mr.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn this council meeting at 8:39.